Hey Total BS fans, it's the weekend, we got football on, and you know what? What goes better with football than soft pretzels? So let's get at it. Guys, soft pretzels are super easy to make. It's dry yeast, we're gonna reactivate it, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, some baking soda to boil it in, and about 5 cups of flour. We're gonna mix it all up in our handy dandy mixer, and then we're gonna boil them and bake them. All right, so to reactivate our dry yeast, we're gonna take 1 tablespoon of sugar. We're gonna take 2 teaspoons of salt. We're gonna take 2 cups of warm water. That's about 100 to 110 degrees.
That's important.
That's important. If you get your yeast, if you get your water too hot, you're going to kill your yeast. And the yeast is all important. And then just kind of...
You just put in a packet of yeast?
Put in 1 packet of dry yeast.
Okay.
Which is 1/4 ounce or 7 grams, depending on where you're watching this. And we're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes until the dry yeast activates, and it's going to get all nice and frothy and bubbly. And we're going to start the love.
So it's okay that we don't stir it more than that? It's
yeah.
normal for it to be that way? Okay.
Just normal.
All right.
We good. Okay, so about 10 minutes later, you'll see that there's a little bit of a bubbling foam on top. That is the yeast starting to reactivate, and it's alive, and it's eating the sugar and starting to multiply. And that's what you want when we start adding our flour and our butter into the mix. So let's go to the KitchenAid mixer. Okay, so I've got my KitchenAid Artisan mixer here. For the home cooks, it's an excellent option. You're not dropping a whole lot of money on the pro mixers. I make cookies out of this. I make bread dough, I make pizza dough, and today we're making pretzels. I've got the dough hook attached. I'm just going to drop this down, lock it in place, and we're just going to turn it on low. If you want your kitchen to look like a winter wonderland,
ask Beth.
Ask Beth, ask Steve, but you just want to slowly add your flour to the mix. Because that beater, if it's on high speed, it is going to explode your flour everywhere. It is not fun to clean up.
No, it's not. A little funny.
It's kind of funny to look at, but not in the heat of the moment. All right, that's our 4 cups.
I assume that's self-rising, all-purpose flour, or...
AP flour.
All right, all-purpose.
Nothing special, no King Arthur special flours. No hippie, all-purpose, free-range flour.
Starting to come together.
Starting to come together, and then we're going to add...
What do you got in there?
I got 2 ounces of melted butter.
All right.
Which is half a stick.
Okay.
We're just going to add that in. And we're going to let this incorporate on low speed. And then once all the loose flour is out, then we're going to crank it up to medium speed for 5 minutes. But as you do this, keep watching. If your dough looks like it's still grabbing the side, you know, add a little bit more flour in there to get some of that moisture up. Or if it looks like Play-Doh, add a little bit of water to it to moisten it back up. Because you want it to pull off the side of your bowl, and you also want it to pull off your dough hook, and that's kind of the sign of your dough's ready to rock and roll. So here
you can really smell the yeast already.
You can smell the yeast. It smells great. It smells like we're baking bread, which is kind of what we're doing. So here we go.
Still going. How long do we let this do this?
It's going to do that for about 5 minutes. All right, so while your dough is beating in the mixer, you're going to get a bowl and just a little bit of oil, paper towel, and you're just going to oil the bowl. That way, as the dough proofs, it's not grabbing onto the bowl. and this will make it easier to work with once it's done proofing. So oil her up, and it's ready to go. All right, so it's been 5 minutes. Our dough is pulling off the side, and it is pulling off the hook. So now we're gonna move it over to our proofing bowl. Pop it out.
Oh yeah.
Maybe a little wet, that's a-okay. And so far we've only got about a half hour into this, folks. All right.
Last week we made these, we put it in before church to let it set.
Yeah, it's proof and rise, and when we got home from church, it was beautiful.
Ready to go.
So now what we want to do is, this is where you have to wait the longest. We're going to cover it with a cloth, and we're going to set it over here on the stove. We're in a nice warm place. We'll set it in the oven. And we're going to let that proof for about 45 to 55 minutes, or as it doubles in size. We're going to take it out and we're going to make our pretzels. All right, so it's been an hour. Our dough has doubled in size. You can see that there. And then it's got a little bit of a skim film on top, but we're going to dump this out and we're going to start rolling out our pretzels. All right, we've got 10 cups of water in our Dutch oven, and we want to bring that up to a boil. And then we're going to add 2/3 of a cup of baking soda into it. And there's always a potential of a boil over.
Or major.
So when you pour everything at once and you get a boil over, you got to add a little bit more baking soda to your water, a little at a time. The baking soda is going to help put that skin on the pretzel, and it's going to have it look real nice once it gets done baking. So we're going to let this come up to a boil, and we're going to try not to spill it anymore. Alright, since we have so much dough, we're going to cut this into quarters and just work with a little bit at a time. We'll put this half back in. So we're just going to roll it out.
Right.
Cut it down a little more. Okay, then we're gonna we like making soft pretzel nubs, so I'm gonna show you how to do those, and then at the very end we'll make some classic pretzels. So we've got our little nubs. Now we're going to take them over to the boiling water and boil them for 30 seconds. Alright, so we've got our pretzel bites formed, and we're dropping them in to the boiling soda water for 30 seconds. And then pretty much once you get all of them in, you can start pulling them immediately back out. Right now they're kind of dumpling-esque. Got everybody in the pool. Start getting everybody out of the pool.
Get out, kids! Somebody peed in the pool!
Oh no! Alright, so we've got as much water off of those as possible. We're going to come back over here with 1 beaten egg with 1 tablespoon of water. And we're going to brush the egg wash onto the pretzels. And then if you have traditional pretzel salt, or if you have a coarse kosher salt, that's great. We use sea salt in this house, so we're just sprinkling them with the fine sea salt. And then we're going to put them in the oven at 450 degrees for 10 minutes. Alright, so we've got our dough rolled out, and we're just going to bring it over, cross, pinch in the middle, pinch on the sides. And you've got a little pretzel. Alright folks, it's been 10 minutes, and let's see what these pretzel bites look like.
Oh, great.
Nice golden brown, crispy, get soft on the inside. It'll be delicious.
Dropping these in just like we did the nuggets.
Just like the nuggets, still 30 seconds. You can see a couple of the first examples there.
Mm-hmm. There's a yummy aftermath. The pretzel shapes are a lot more difficult than the nuggets as far as keeping formations. You gotta be tender with those.
Very much so. That one pulled apart a little bit, but it's okay. It's still going to go down the same way.
Mm-hmm.
See, and we got another round of. So we're still going to paint these just like we did the others. So they continue to turn out beautiful. Alright, so after about an hour and a half of prep time and work, you too can have homemade pretzels and pretzel bites. And if you have a great partner like I do, Beth, she made the cheese sauce. So get the family involved, make some snacks, watch some football.
Eat some cheese.
Eat well.
Alright, the verdict's in. Kip, what do you think?
They're good. Yeah, they're good.
What do you think, Ad?
They're really, really good.
Like that? Alright.
So if you like what you've seen here today, like, subscribe, and share the videos. And remember, it's just BS.